some love and hate relationship with my Lightning, but media is going to try to tell you that Ford has cut EV production in half, like you're going to hear from many other automakers, because EVs are doomed, that they're going out, that this is going to be a dead technology. They're going to basically talk like you won't be seeing this in 5 years, but they won't say that because they know that's not true and that they will be proven completely and horribly wrong. What does it really mean? What's really going on? Ford has cut not current production in half, because right now they're making about 4,000 of these EVs per month. They haven't cut the production in half of these. They're not going to go from 4,000 to 2,000 a month, which would make you seem like, wow, people really hate the F-150 Lightning, the Ford Lightning. And that's how big media and a lot of sketchy YouTube channels are going to present this information. They'll just have the title, Ford cuts production in half, and try to not really explain the real deal. So here's the real deal, folks. Don't be fooled. What's going on here? What's really going on is that Ford is cutting a planned production, and their planned production was pretty wild. You know, I myself, when I first kind of half calculated, reading through things, being an insider, figured it kind of sounds like Ford's going to make, I think originally it was like 35,000 Lightnings for like the first period. So basically from summer until the first 6 months. And I was like, okay, so year 2, they're going to make 60, 70,000 Lightnings. But before that happened, Ford announced, you know what? We're going to double our planned production. So then I was like, okay, are they now at 60,000 rough, or are they at 120,000 rough? Because it's hard to say, because originally it looked like they're going to make about 30,000 for the first 6 months. But where are we gonna go? How is this going to end? Ford's not giving us precise and exact numbers, except for when they'd say, oh, by 2026, we want to make 600,000 EVs. And actually, I think 2026, it was 2 million. It was early on, like 2024 was going to be 600,000 EVs. So of all those EVs, how many were going to be Lightnings? Was it going to be 300,000 or 400,000? I can say probably we're looking at 300,000 to 400,000 EVs as planned production. Ford has cut the planned production in half. So guess what? Production is going up. I know that's not a very exciting story, but right now, if Ford's making 4,000 Lightnings per month, that's about 40,000. They're wanting to get to the point where they make roughly about 20, 25, max 30,000 from my guesstimates here, my educated guesstimates per month. Okay, so production's going to go up. Not a sexy story. People want gloom and loom. That's why you've got major media talking about, you know, how we're possibly headed for a civil war. All these big headlines, all the exaggeration. This isn't that big of a story. Ford is adapting, and Ford wants to adapt intelligently, because remember, Ford loses, what is it, $32,000 on average per electric vehicle. And that doesn't mean that they lose $32,000 on the Platinum Lightning. No, it means on average across the Mach-E and the Lightning. They'll lose $3 to $5 billion on electric vehicles this year alone, but they're probably going to make $9 to $11 billion on the gas-powered vehicles, the petrol-powered vehicles for 2023. So what do we've got going on here? We've got a scenario where Ford is forecasting that they'll lose a heck of a lot of money if they try to make, you know, 300,000-400,000 of these vehicles. Because originally, in that let's make 300,000-400,000 planned vehicles, Lightnings, there's going to be a lot of Platinums, there's going to be a lot of Lariats, and here's the truth. I'm an insider here. Platinums are not selling. Lariats are selling somewhat. The logical choices that Ford loses the most money on, the Pro and the XLT standard range battery, there is an insane amount of demand on it, and there should be. People, the main reason I don't like my Lightning is because I overspent. I got the Lariat extended range battery because I switch every 6 months, and I kind of had some other insiders and myself, we talked ourselves into thinking that the Lariat extended range battery would be the popular model because it's comfortable. It's amazingly comfortable. And we thought that people would really jump on that extended range battery. But what actually happened is people who are fearful of the range, are fearful of the range for both the regular standard range battery and the extended range battery. So those people who are fearful, and some of it's very fair. The infrastructure is not great everywhere. It's fantastic where I live. It's, well, fantastic. It's pretty darn good where I live. I'd like to see all the 50 kilowatt chargers replaced by 150 kilowatt chargers. But beggars can't be choosers here. My main problem is just my payment with this vehicle. That's the main problem, and the Blue Cruise. But you know, we can work through that. If you have a problem with your vehicle, go to the dealer, talk to them about the problem, be persistent, and your problem will get fixed. But that's my main problem here with the Lightning. I've got a lot of love going on with this, and I'm going to be having a little episode on that. But planned production has been cut in half, and they have to. They need to sell enough electric vehicles to offset paying billions of dollars in either fines to the governments or carbon credits by being forced to essentially buy at a deal carbon credits from, let's say, Tesla, their competitor. But that's not the best plan. And they don't want to lose more money than they have to. And they lose the most money on the Pro model and the XLT standard. So you are going to see a lot of these sitting around on lots because dealers ordered a lot. Ford sent a lot of Lariats and Platinums. These are the models that cost dealers. This is what's upsetting dealers. Because they're paying 7-8% interest rate, thousands of dollars on these very expensive trucks. But if Ford were to send essentially all Pro and XLT standard range Lightnings to dealers, they could probably get away with selling 300,000 of these per year because you know what? They make amazing sense. It's an amazing choice. Why is it an amazing choice? Because a Pro is so much less than your petrol-powered F-150. There's a huge savings in monthly cost, and then there's also a savings when it comes to gas. I do pay a little more interest on this vehicle. I pay about $2,000 per year on this vehicle, and if I had a petrol-powered vehicle, I would pay about $1,100 or $1,200 per year. So there is an extra cost to insuring an electric vehicle because if you get, let's say, a side impact and it has some damage, just a little damage on that battery's coming out. No insurance company is going to hit pass and let a vehicle with some battery damage back on the road, because if any water gets into this battery, all electric vehicles that are lithium ion, water gets in, that is a non-stop fire. The fire could burn for days because you could put it out, and if the fire people, let's be honest, they're almost all men, but if the firemen leave, it could very well catch on fire again. That's an issue. So the insurance claims the cost of repairs on these vehicles is significantly more than on your petrol-powered vehicle. So does this spell trouble for Ford? Well, let me know what you think. Share your thoughts. Do you like EVs? Do you like the idea of an EV truck? Now, I know a lot of YouTube is really poo-pooing on these vehicles because they're saying they're way overpriced, and that's just absolutely true and absolutely silly. People need to think things through, be critical thinkers, and really flush out and expunge an idea. The Platinum and the Lariat extended range battery are much more than their petrol-powered counterparts, but the Pro is much less. The XLT standard range battery, let's say in Canada, you can get an XLT standard range battery for $73,000, and after taxes, it gets a $5,000 subvention, a rebate from the government. The Pro gets $12,000 from our government, but even without those rebates, $73,000 for an XLT standard range battery, and guess what? Its gas-powered equivalent with less equipment is an XLT Sport 302 or the high package, and it's $75,000. And you're going to save a whole lot of fuel and cost if you plug and charge at home in most regions. A full charge, 500 kilometers in the summer or 300 kilometers in the winter, costs me $8 of electricity at my house. And it's very expensive and annoying if I charge while I'm on a trip, if I don't get that 150 kilowatt charger, because the 50 kilowatt chargers are slow. I've spent an hour charging at one. And it's so annoying in Canada, you can't just pay with your credit card. You have to have this silly app. You have to know how the app works. You have to be embarrassed in front of, your father because you're having trouble with an app when you're supposed to be, the one young one in the family. I'm the youngest of three brothers. I had trouble with the app. I wanted to rip the cable right out of the machine. But then I saw that there was a helpline called the helpline. Super helpful. They really helped me out. It went well. But then on a 50 kilowatt, after an hour from going for, basically we wouldn't have eaten, but we went to a restaurant. So we're like, no big deal. We'll come back and we'll have the power. But then we had to stop again on our trip. So there are some inconveniences. But other than when I'm doing a cold weather, 2.5, 3 hour trip one way, so a total of roughly 6 hours of driving plus a detour. So 6.5, almost 7 hours of driving. Other than that, it's amazing to go to work. It's a great daily, but it's good to have a petrol-powered vehicle. So that's the end of that episode. We got through it. Nice, quick one. Now, please like and subscribe. Hit that thumbs up button. Share this information. Help our family business out here, folks. Let's see. The next topic we're going to be talking about are going to be cars and trucks that are the best to buy because they depreciate the least. Now let's get this going. I've got to go over to